Hey, here we go. Number 77, Abuelo and the Nieto talking Miami sports. We're everywhere TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and we'll be talking about the Dolphins, Inter Miami, of course, the Miami Heat. So look forward to it, huh? The Nieto over there in New York, Tyler Carmona, and the Abuelo, the old man here, presented by Balado Tires with two locations here in Miami to serve you better. Tyler, number 77, huh? That's a lot.
Yes, it is number 77. Last week we had a legend. We had a Hall of Famer. This is going back to more of the niche South Florida guys that, if you really watch sports down here, you'll know the name. But if not, might be a little unfamiliar. Who is 77 this time?
Well, yes, AJ Duhe. He played linebacker and middle linebacker and also defensive end for the Dolphins, 1977 to 1984. And he was, he had a tremendous rookie year, but then he had problems with injuries, knee injuries, and he had a tremendous 1982 AFC Championship game. Miami ended up going to the Super Bowl, and he had three INTs in that game, one for a touchdown. So while he played, which was not long for the Dolphins, he was a major factor for the Miami Dolphins.
And gonna keep going with that Dolphins talk. Heading into this free agency, this NFL draft season, obviously a team that just a whole lot of acquisitions to make decisions, on a variety of positions, and quarterback is one of them. Who is not going to be this team's quarterback next year? I think that's apparent to everybody. Malik Willis is a name that's being floated around even before that whole Packers regime came over here. So, obviously now with Sullivan, you got the head coach. It's The talks are increasing. Obviously, played well when he had to fill in for Jordan Love last year. Was a highly regarded prospect at one point. Things didn't turn out the way he would have liked in Tennessee, but personally don't think it would be the worst idea bringing him in and at least seeing how it turns out. I think you look at the draft as a gold mine, and while it may be a gold mine, it's not a gold mine for quarterbacks as much as we think it is. Even the next draft or the next two drafts. So there's always somebody that emerges. That's the case. Who's to say you're going to get a top 10 pick again and be able to draft them? So I think quarterback's a position you get them when they're available.
Yeah, but you know what, Tyler? At this time, I would like it to happen, but I just don't see it because the math, uh, just doesn't add up. They have like right now they have like around $3 million under the cap. They're gonna still be able, they'll be able to make some moves, but this guy is asking for anywhere between 20 to 30 million dollars per year, and he wants a 2 year contract. It just doesn't add up. So you mentioned the draft, Tyler, and it's not this year. This year, they might bring a fifth rounder, a sixth rounder. They're talking to Beck, by the way, in the combine. They're talking to a lot of different people, a lot of different quarterbacks. Beck is one of them. So I look for maybe fifth round, sixth round, getting a quarterback and see if they get lucky, do a Tom Brady. But I think they're looking at 27, Tyler, because there is a bunch of quarterbacks, good quality quarterbacks available. And you have mentioned them before yourself in 27. So I think that maybe that is the plan. You look for a guy in the fifth or sixth round, and then if you can get, let's say, a Mariota, he might be asking for $10 million. Even a Russell Wilson, which might come out cheaper. A Garoppolo, around six, seven, $8 million, even though he's 34 years old. I see that, as a better possibility. But Willis, they might want to have him. There's that connection with Green Bay, but it just doesn't add up, monetarily. They just, where are they going to find the money? And then they have the situation with Tua. What happens with Tua? Whoever gets him is willing to get him. Uh, they don't want to pay $54 million. The Dolphins are going to have to pay a tremendous large amount of that money. So it doesn't make sense, and I just don't see the money. where is it going to come from? So, it is a tough situation. So the guy that they probably want, which is Willis, they're just not going to be able to get him. You know, that's the way I
Yeah,
see it.
I get what you're saying. I also think when it comes to making that big investment, like you said, the pieces all need to align properly, and that's not necessarily the case for this team right now. So I think you do make a valid point. And if the pieces don't align properly on your tires and they fall off, where are you going to get your tires fixed?
Tyler, you know where you have to go. Over there in New York, you can't because
Yeah,
you have your bicycle and you go to school in your bicycle, and you do a little bit of walking
I don't
also.
even got a bike.
But if you were in Miami, you would go to Balado Tires if you need tires. They have two locations: Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, and also Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. They treat you like family because they're a family. They're a family that has been in the business over 63 years. They have great service, and they have all the different models of tires, and they have them lower price. If you want something more expensive, they have it also, and they have that personal service that everybody loves. That is Balado Tires.
Yes. Well, now we're going to move on, talking still some more Miami sports. The Miami Heat. Just at this point, I think we can label them as an inconsistent team overall. That's probably going to be their identity throughout the season. After the All Star break, it's continued to persist. As somebody who's watching that team, on a nightly basis, what are you seeing, and what weaknesses? I guess looking at the future, and not to write off this season necessarily, but what are things you need to see addressed moving forward?
They have a pretty favorable end of the season as far as the schedule is concerned. So maybe that will help them to get to number six. That would be the best. I just don't see anything else. They're number eight right now. They played Milwaukee and Philadelphia the last couple of games, and they had that inconsistency which you referred to, Tyler. Especially even defensively, like they allowed 73 points in the first half versus Philadelphia. That is unacceptable because this is a team that depends on their defense to have an opportunity. They score a lot of points, but if you score 125 and the other team, scores 130, you're going to lose. And, offensive rebounds, that is a problem for them also. And, Hero started very well. First game back, he scores 24 points. Then after that, he's been inconsistent. And now you got the injury with Powell. He might be out a few games. So, you lose a very important guy, especially offensively. And, uh, offensive rebounds and the ability to finish games. And that happens when you don't have a really, top player. A lot of the time it's a superstar. You don't have a Giannis. You don't have a Luca. You don't have that type of a Jokic. You don't have that type of a player that can take over games when you need to win the game. You're 4 minutes out of finishing a game. You're 5 minutes from finishing a game. You're winning by one or you're winning by two. Are they going to win the game? A lot of the times they're not going to win the game. And they were up by three versus Milwaukee. 6.5 minutes to go. They didn't score a basket. They just scored a couple of free throws. So, if you're not able to do that, you don't have one guy or two guys that can take over a game and everybody knows they're going to shoot it and they still make the shot, it's tough. And, Spolstra can do it up to a certain way. He can help the team up to a point. But that inconsistency, they're not able to play at a very high level for the 48 minutes. And so, that's what's, hurting them right now. And some people are saying, and I don't think it's going to happen, that they just should forget about this season and try to finish completely out of the playoffs and try to get as good a pick that they can, and then also to have that situation benefit them in maybe a trade for Giannis. Some people are saying that. I don't think it's going to happen, so it's not worth talking about it too much. But even we have heard that rumor from especially some journalists recently. So that's what we have with the Miami Heat. Hopefully, they can surprise us.
And some more positive topics to discuss. The Miami
No,
Hurricanes. I
no,
got
it's
got a few
just we
players
here.
working out
Here
at
we
the.
call it like it is. We call it like it is. I mean, we don't have
Yeah. Oh, definitely,
favorites.
we have to. That's that's why we're
No,
approaching
but
35,000
sometimes
subscribers on YouTube.
you have some people that try to accommodate the teams. Try to accommodate the teams to have that very good relationship. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I think, especially as a journalist, that's kind of some difficult waters to navigate because you need to be around the team, you need access to the team, but you also need to be on the team. So I understand that, but yeah, you also need, like we said, you need to be honest. Miami Hurricanes got a few guys working out at the combine right now. Big names, obviously Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor. They got Francis Mauigoa. For both you guys are, I'd say Mauigoa and Bain are locks to be top 10 picks, and then Mesidor. Some concerns about his age, but the production was there last season. Carson Beck is another one. So a few players to keep an eye on. Obviously, Bain, interestingly enough, I believe had the second shortest arm measurements out of a defensive end in NFL history. That's what he's kind of getting dinged for right now. But stuff like that is just so ridiculous to me. Maybe it's because I'm a short guy, so hearing stuff like that is just, you watch the guy play football. Like they're gonna talk about his short arms. You watch him play football, and everyone was scared of him. And I think that's I mean, it's don't overcomplicate things. Is the way I view, scouting and things of that nature. I'm not sure if you think it's the same way.
Yeah, he's got short arms, but he plays like he's 6'7" and 320 pounds. Runs a 4.5 out of a defensive end coming from the corners. So he had short arms, but he doesn't play like that. It doesn't make too much of a difference. So I still think Tyler, he's a top 10 guy, and maybe Magloa will come in earlier, but that's about it. He's so talented. He's done it at the highest level. So definitely, I think that he'll be right there. And then they'll have those two first round picks, and then Messidor. What we have heard is maybe late first round or early second. He should not be doing any worse than that, because I think that he finished the season at a very high level. And this is a guy that came from being a three-star to be one of the top, defensive ends in the country. So you have to give him a lot of credit. And then Scott, the slack corner, I think that he played very
Oh
well.
yeah,
Right? And he should be late, early second, the worst probably early third round. Uh, uh, Slack corners, and not too many coming out of the draft that are better than him. And he's got everything going for him, and he's tremendous, rushing the quarterback, and that's important. They use that a lot in the NFL. Those slack corners going out after the quarterback is a very effective play defensively. So, and those type of guys are, they have a premium. They are a premium as far as the NFL is concerned. Thomas, the safety, might be anywhere
oh
between a
yeah.
third and fifth round, right? And he plays pretty well, Thomas, right?
Yeah, he does. No, very fond of his game, but also in general from a bit of a wide scope. We're talking Miami Hurricanes, but just Miami natives. We had our Miami natives and South Florida natives, because South Florida natives, Travis Hunter was drafted last year in the top 10. Bain could be drafted this year in the top 10. And then next year, Maya Smith is definitely going to be drafted in the top 10. So we love to talk about local guys. I mean, that's three straight local guys being fit in the top 10 of the NFL draft. So that's very impressive, and it shows, just the caliber of talent, playing youth and high school football down here.
All right, so we're talking again about Balado Tires, your favorite tire store, Tyler, with two locations in Miami. If you're in the Northwest area, Hialeah also. They're at Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street. If you're in the Southwest area, and you're in Westchester, you're in Kendall, with Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue, uh, they have basically all the different models and categories of tires. They have tremendous personal attention, which everybody loves, and they're 63 years established in the market. So you have that personal service that everybody wants, and of course, they have brake service, brake repairs also. So if you're looking for tires in Miami, the place to go is Balado Tires, a sponsor of Abuelo and the Nieto.
That's right. Yes, a sponsor, and I say I always leave the soccer talk up to you, and I am going to leave it up to you this time. But that being said, I'm going to have to cover some soccer this summer, so I'm at least going to have to pay attention a little bit more, and maybe you'll start hearing from me a little bit more throughout these.
Yes, I want you to
Against my
surprise me.
will, but
I want you to surprise me. One day to surprise me and come out with a Messi story or a Ronaldo story, a Cristiano Ronaldo story or something. The new stadium, Inter Miami, is ready, almost ready. Jorge Mas came up with a statement saying that everything might not be ready at in early April when they're going to open up the stadium, but almost everything will be ready. And he feels confident, and it's going to be a wonderful, beautiful stadium near the airport. But they started the season, Tyler, with a loss, 3-0 versus LAFC. They got a very tough game coming up this Sunday away versus Orlando, which is an arch rival here within the state, and they have had some problems with Orlando in the past. The thing with not having the stadium ready is that they're playing away, late February all through March. So it's going to be difficult at the beginning of the season. And they were disappointing in that first game, Tyler, defensively. They allowed 3 goals. And I guess against the speed of the opponent gives them trouble. Their defenders are not that quick, are not that fast, and it affected them again. And they had the ball a lot in the second half, but then they were not able to create much of anything. They didn't have very good opportunities. So they had the ball, but they couldn't score. You need to score. And the wings on the right side and left side, uh, there was not a lot of attacks that were effective going that way. And I think that you saw the difference of having Jordi Alba or not having Jordi Alba coming off of the left side with the crosses to Messi. It makes a difference. And Berterame, the guy that came from Monterrey, came in later, and he was not really a factor in the game. So they need to get better offensively and defensively. So let's see if this happens versus Orlando. They, on paper, look as good or better than last season, but we haven't seen it yet. But it's very early in the season. Another thing that is very interesting, Tyler, there's rumors that Casemiro, the midfielder from Manchester United, the Brazilian, he's getting a little older, 34 years old, but still playing at a high level. He's a regular with Manchester United, that he could be coming to Miami in June. This contract is over in England, and if he comes over, then the team is very, very strong. So let's see if that's something that that could be done as far as Miami is concerned. But we're recognizing, Tyler, top Miami athletes, legends, sometimes young players, and you're in charge of that feature. And what do you have for us this week?
yes, we're going to recognize a local guy who's currently playing his college ball at North Carolina State University. We're talking about CJ Bailey. He's the quarterback. Was kind of floated as a name as a possible transfer target for Miami, but decided to stay over there. Started his playing days with the Miami Gardens Ravens. One of the legendary youth football teams down here. Produced Jeremiah Smith, JoJo Trader, Davion Goss, a lot of those guys. Then went on a Chaminade, with Smith and Trader, and just lit it up over the course of 4 years. Among the most passing yards in the history in the state of Florida, 9,000 career passing yards, 116 passing touchdowns. So that's more than 25 per year throughout his high school career. So, very impressive player. And then got to NC State and, started right away. Took over for Grayson McCall, who was, a pretty impressive player himself and was a freshman All-ACC guy, had one of the best, freshman seasons since Phillip Rivers played at NC State. So he's a guy that after this year, heading into his junior year, could probably enter the draft. He had 29 or 25 touchdowns, just 9 interceptions last year. So, that's a good ratio, 3,000 yards. And you don't see a lot of quarterbacks from Miami really representing. Obviously, we got Mendoza now, CJ Bailey. So, this could kind of be a new crop of guys. We see the receivers, we see the DBs, but maybe there'll be some more quarterbacks from Miami.
Before we talk again about Balado Tires, Tyler, you mentioned Mendoza. How good, in your opinion, is Mendoza going to be at the NFL level?
Oh man, I'll say this. This is where hopefully our fans will trust me because I say, don't listen to journalists when it comes to quarterbacks. Judging quarterbacks is the hardest position to recruit, to scout. So much of it has to do with what offense you end up in, what offensive coordinator you play for. I mean, we saw that with Sam Darnold. He looked like a complete bust, ends up in the right offense. So, in my opinion, I think if you're a great college quarterback, there's an NFL system for you. It's just a matter of being in that system, if that makes sense. So I think if Fernando Mendoza ends up in an offense that's similar to what he has at Indiana, where he has a lot of safety valves, where he's able to rely on his intelligence, his composed nature, I think he can do well. But I don't think it's a guarantee necessarily either. For example, when you see a receiver coming into the draft or a guy like Ruben Bain, Ruben Bain's going to be good no matter where he plays. I don't care if he gets drafted to the Jets. It's not the same for a quarterback, so it's a tricky thing to measure.
Yeah. And in this case, in the case of Mendoza, most likely 99% is going to be, with Brady and the Raiders. That's what it looks like. Tyler, if you're looking for tires, the place is Balado Tires, 2 locations in Miami to serve you better. Northwest 27th Avenue and 16th Street, and Southwest 8th Street and 67th Avenue. That is Balado Tires. And we get into the end and of Abuelo and the Nieto and Miami Sports Trivia.
Yes, I'm gonna let you lead off this time. I think
Okay.
I got you last
All right.
time, and I think you got it wrong. So let's see if you can redeem yourself.
All
Oh no, you
right.
got it
No,
right.
no,
You got it
no.
right. That
Last
was
time I got it
Steele.
right. Yeah, I got it right. Well, Tyler,
Yeah, you did.
The Marlins are in spring training. They have not done very well early, but those are exhibition games, so that's not a big deal. So they're over there in Jupiter. They have done some remodeling to the facilities. So hopefully we'll have a good season, just like we had last year from the Marlins. We got the World Baseball Classic coming up here at Lone Depot Park. We're going to be talking about that maybe as early as next week. And the question has to do with the Marlins, Tyler. Who is the Marlins pitcher with the most wins in a season for the team? The most wins in a season. And this is a young guy. It's a very young guy when he did it. I always try to help you. And so for a few years back, uh, a few years back.
Jose Fernandez.
No, no,
Jose
no.
Fernandez.
Go back, go back. Very young guy.
Josh Beckett.
No, no. But I got you this time. Tyler. Oh, I'm giving you a lot of opportunities, so I have to say it.
No,
Dontrell
who is it? Tell
Willis.
me.
Dontrell Willis.
Oh,
Willis, the lefty in
that's
2005,
right. D
Tyler.
Train.
Yeah, 2005, 22
Can't
wins,
believe I got that
22 and
wrong.
10. 22 and 10 was his record, 2.63 ERA. You know, Willis was tremendous pitcher at the beginning of his career with the Marlins. So, what do you have for me?
This one, the original question I was going to give you, I found out the answer and I was like, this is too hard. He's going to get it wrong. So I gave you an easier version of it.
Thank
Who
you,
has the
thank you.
best winning percentage? Yeah, best winning percentage, not winning percentage in Miami Hurricanes football history. A coach.
Winning percentage,
Yes.
uh, it is Erickson or Coker.
Yes. Yes.
Larry
Yes.
Coker?
Yes. Yes. Erickson. There you go.
Who, Erickson?
Erickson.
Erickson, okay, okay. I thought more of Erickson than Coker because Coker had that tremendous season, but Erickson was extremely successful. A lot of people get confused. I think that Jimmy Johnson, because of the name, was the most successful one, but that is not the case. Dennis Erickson. Tyler, we have done it again. Abuelo and the Nieto,
Yes, we
number
have.
77, right? So if you're looking for Miami, the insight on what's going on with Miami sports, this is the place to be. Dolphins, Canes, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Panthers. The Panthers, by the way, they have to do very well at the end of the season to make the playoffs, and that shows you how tough it is to stay at a high level in any sport. That's what injuries have affected of course, the Panthers a lot this year. So number 77, and we always say arrivederci, hasta luego. Okay, brother.